Good afternoon. How are you today? Well, it's warm out, but it's also wet. Right now, I don't get any rain, but it has been raining, like very spotted, the kind of stuff that if it's frozen, you would skid on it. And it's a little dark because I had work to do all day. It happens. The good news is I'm busy, and the bad news is I'm busy. So, let's start with a cute story. One that fits my environmental constraints. Up in Maine, where we try to go at least once a year, there's a wooded place I go to near Owl's Head, Maine. And on the ground, there is like a bed of connecting tissue. It's a fungal net, and it appears to connect between the trees in these woods, and then it's soft like walking on a carpet. And I've seen it some other places where the trees are close together. And today I read a scientific report that they're studying how these fungal membranes actually are connecting the trees one to another. And I don't think it's proven yet, but it seems to make sense in a way. But because it makes sense, that doesn't mean it's true. It also connects with a belief that the entire Earth, there's a Gaia principle. That is that all the living things on the planet are connected one to the other. And Gaia resists those that don't cooperate with her plan. The last part I made up. So I think it's fascinating, and it's enjoyable, and it's positive, because we like to believe we are all connected. Now, let's take a weird story. The Republicans are targeting drag shows. I don't know why. We have such a hypocritical nation when it comes to the old blue laws and what we believe now. And so these guys, Republicans, are against drag shows. And then they probably sneak into them. And they probably perform in them. We know at least one does. So that's what the Republicans are spending their time doing. Going state to state, trying to pass a bill that outlaws drag. Close at home here, we have something that may be coming to a neighborhood near you. Data centers in Warrenton, Virginia. There's a fight going on among the council out there, resisting the data center because it will compromise the rural area. I agree with that. They're just ugly boxes for electronics, which require lots of power to them to begin with, and they suck up water like mad. And a friend of mine, who's a famous actor, Bobby Duvall, he and I, unless it's changed, we're on opposite sides of the partisan fence, but when it comes to the environment, he's very concerned about it, and has done all sorts of farm to table support. He has a nice house at which he's hosted some of these events. I used to, years ago, ride horses with him. I think he was doing it both for sport and to get in condition for some of the movies he was in. And he's an interesting guy. We did a couple of horse shows together. And when he was on the horse, say about to take a jump, looking at him, you had the feeling that you could take a picture from any angle and he would appear dramatic. It's like it seemed unconscious. His chest would come out a little bit, his posture, and then he would go and he'd do a jump. It was a jumping exercise. Well, he's out there in Warrenton the last several days fighting this data center, and he failed it. Now, I live in a county, just like in Warrenton, where in our county, Loudoun, they think this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, to have the taxes that these data centers pay, but they come at a cost. They require energy to run them, and they suck up all sorts of water for cooling in the data center. And that's water that may not be easy to come by in the years ahead. And as some have pointed out, when the technology passes these data centers by, these things are just going to be eyesores. And for those of us who are concerned about ambient light and like the night to be dark for that reason, and for the animals as well as for us humans, well, to make the ugly boxes that are these data centers appear more attractive, they want to have lights that shoot straight up into the air. We have local flyers around here too, and I'm not sure that what they think about it. I would think they don't think very much about it. In the category of kind of fun to think about is there's a TV show, Hello Tomorrow, and I understand it's not doing well, but the thesis of the show is that the actor is selling, well, he's not an actor, he's an actor in the show, but he's posing as a salesman in a way, and he's selling acreage on the moon. It used to be the Brooklyn Bridge, now it's the moon. That's pretty funny. The visits I have to D.C. have been rare ever since the pandemic. But when I have driven through town, I've noticed an area where there are tents for those people who are homeless. And yesterday, D.C., in its infinite wisdom, got rid of all those tents. The real interesting question is, what about the people who are homeless? I guess we would call them habitation insecure, sort of like food insecure for hungry. And both of those must apply to these people. And I'll bet you all those people in D.C. are really good Christians. And Jesus' parents, they had trouble finding a place for him to be born. And it's interesting how people have actions that contradict their scripture and they don't see the connection at all. It's quite remarkable. And then there's the Georgia release of the grand jury report, which please keep in mind, when everybody's talking about, the grand jury said this or that, they didn't say it. It was written by the prosecutors, and then they asked the grand jury, well, you agree with that? And the majority of the people in the grand jury, probably in every case, did. And so that becomes their story. Well, the only thing you get out of this report thus far is that some people came before the grand jury to say that there was fraud in the election. The grand jury heard testimony that didn't support that. And the grand jury thinks some people lied. Okay, so nothing really. A nothing burger. And if the only thing we see coming out of this grand jury are perjury charges against low-level people that insisted that there was election fraud, there's another kind of fraud involved, prosecutorial fraud, that they were really doing anything. My friends are impatient with me. They want to believe the people with resumes that suggest veracity are telling the truth that something is coming. Well, I'll have to see it first. So here I am in our cathedral of trees, making our way, and tomorrow I'll talk to you again. All the best. Bye-bye.